Hello, welcome back to the BCSS podcast. Today we're actually introducing a new segment with none other than the principal of Brampton Centennial himself, Mr. Freier. Say hello.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you. I'm looking forward to speaking with you today.
I'm looking forward to speaking with you too. So, just as a brief background, get into your history in education and how you ended up at BCSS.
Sure. Okay. Well, as most people know, I was a student here back in the 80s. I went for 5 years here. I was a student. Back then, we had grade 13, so I did my diploma in 4 years. And if you want to go to university, you went for grade 13 and get your 6 university credits, and then you apply to university. I did that. When I was finished high school, I went to McMaster University in Hamilton. I studied phys ed. I was a phys ed teacher, but I wasn't a phys ed teacher right away. When I finished university, I didn't have high enough marks to get in a teacher's college. So I wasn't sure what to do. So my principal at the time was a gentleman by the name of Norm Gollard, and I called him asking him for advice, and he helped me and got me a job at Meadowvale Secondary School as an educational assistant, similar to what Rachel does. And I ended up, the plan was to do that for 1 or 2 years and then go back to school. But, life kind of got in the way a bit. And during that time, I got married, had a kid. And so I ended up being at Meadowvale in that position for 12 years. And then I had a principal at the time who really kind of inspired me to go back to teacher's college. So I went back to teacher's college when I was in my 30s. And I went to teacher's college. I got my teaching certificate. I got a job at Meadowvale teaching phys ed and special education contact. Then I stayed there for 2 years, and then I moved to Fletcher's Meadow Secondary School. And when that opened in 2004, and I got a job there teaching a contact program teacher. And then my second year there, I started being a department head of alternative programs. We would help a lot of struggling kids. And then after doing that for 4 years, I became a vice principal. An acting vice principal, and then I became a permanent vice principal. And then after being a vice principal for 3 years at Fletcher's Meadow, then I went to Roy McRitcher Youth Center for 2 years, 2.5 years. And that was a maximum security facility for young offenders. I was a vice principal there. And then from there, my principal encouraged me to apply to be a principal myself. So after 5 years of being a VP, I put my name into the principal process, and I was lucky enough to make it through that. Then I waited 1 year before I got a placement, and then my placement was at T.O. Kennedy and in South Mississauga. And I liked T.O. Kennedy. It was a very small school, but I liked it a lot. It was a very good place to learn to be a principal. But I was in between that time, I'd moved out of Brampton. I lived in Brampton my whole life. So I'd moved out of Brampton to a place north of the Guelph called Fergus. So T.O. Kennedy was pretty far. So I told the board I asked the board if I could get a school closer to my house in North Brampton. And then they called me and they said, well, you're going to Brampton Centennial. And I laughed a bit. And they go, what's so funny about that? And I said, if you'd asked me to pick any high school, that would have been one of the ones I want to go to because I used to go there. So it'd be kind of cool to be a principal at the school I went to. And as it turns out, the principal here was moving to one of the art schools. They needed someone right away. So I ended up at Brampton Centennial, and it's been an awesome experience. And it's not probably every couple of weeks I still get phone calls from people that I went to high school with, or people that I know, or people that I don't know very well from high school, and they would call me and just say, are you the Paul Freier that was at high school at the same time as me? And they want to know things about the school. So that's kind of like my kind of journey of how I ended up where I am today. And it was a long journey. It took me a long time to kind of, decide to kind of take that big step to kind of go back to school to become a permanent teacher, but I did it. And then after I did that, within 6 years, I was a vice principal. And within 3 years after that, I was a principal. So I'm pretty happy I made the decision.
Wow, pretty extensive history.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you talked about how, you were at Fletcher's Meadow for a while. My brother went to Fletcher's Meadow, and he said that you changed his life. So, yeah,
Thanks.
he says that you were like one of the best principals that he ever had, and he just really appreciates you. He was really excited when he heard that I was doing this with you. So I don't know.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Yeah, Fletcher's was an awesome school, and the reason I applied there in the first place back in the day was because it was close to my house, to be honest with you. And we had a very innovative principal, and at At that time, when we first opened, the first year we had 1,000 kids. And then 4 years later, we had 2,200 kids. So it was a massive school, and but the kids there were amazing. And you know, I really liked it there. I learned a lot there. And if I had stayed at Meadowvale, well, I like Meadowvale. If I had stayed there, I don't think I'd be a principal today, because Fletcher's Meadow gave me a lot of opportunity, and I'm glad that I at least helped one person there. So.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's like, was there any point during that time where you ever kind of like doubted yourself as like a principal or somebody who was supposed to really enact change in the school and just do the best for the students?
Well, when I was actually, I doubted myself to become a teacher. I was an educational assistant. I love that job. I did the contact EA like Miss Archer does and Q do. I love that job. And one of my principals there, she said, she pushed me and said, you have so much more to offer. You've got to become a teacher. So I did. And then, you know, when I was at Fletcher's Meadow, we had a very innovative and very visionary principal there. Jan Coomer was her name. And I remember once she was telling me, maybe you should be a vice principal one day. And I didn't really kind of give it any thought until I was presenting this program we were running at Fletcher's, and I was presenting it to the director of education and a bunch of other senior admin persons. And when we were setting up with our team at the time, the director came up to me and said, Paul, we're looking forward to your presentation. And I said to myself, I said to him, how do you even know who I am? And he says, you've got a really good reputation. He goes, we need someone like you to apply to be vice principal. And so when he asked me, then I did the next year. They asked me to be a vice principal, and I was what's called an acting vice principal the first year, and then I was permanent after that. And so, you know, I'm really kind of happy I love Meadowvale. I'm very happy. Every place I've been has kind of been a good journey for me. I love Fletcher. I was there for 7 years. They were amazing years. Roy McBurcher Youth Center. A lot of people wouldn't want to work there because the students there, they have broken the law significantly. But like, you know, when I was there, we graduated a lot of kids, and I liked it. And I know Mr. Williams, who was the vice principal there, he followed me. He replaced me as vice principal there. So I know he thought it was a great place. And then T.O. Kennedy. But I feel like being at Centennial, and I say it a lot, and I don't just say it for words, but this is more than just a school to me. This is a place that I'm very proud of. And I spend a lot of time making sure that, you know, we create an atmosphere that's good for learning for students and good to work for staff. And it's not perfect. I know there's issues. Every school has issues. But like, I take this school, I'm probably more proud of this school than any school I've been at, because this is kind of my home neighborhood, so to speak. And I have in my office a picture of 5 of my buddies that you know, we went to the school together, but we went to school together since kindergarten, and they're guys I still hang around with. So I mean, this whole community is very important to me, and Brampton Centennial is one of them. It's the most important place I've ever worked.
Wow. It's very inspiring. It makes me feel good as somebody who's at Brampton Centennial and had to integrate themselves really quickly, because I think I've been here since grade 11, but I was online until this semester. So, you know, when I first got here, I just kept thinking, like, how am I going to, you know, get myself going at this school? But, you know, there's actually like a really good community here, and it feels like an environment that's very conducive to, you know, success. That it just even from, not even in the sense of like, oh, I have really cool friends, but, you know, even just like the staff and all of the resources like guidance, you know, they give you opportunity after opportunity. It's just, you know, a really nice school, a really nice environment. I feel like you really can make the best of yourself here.
You know, I was talking to a friend of mine who got married to his high school sweetheart that he was dating with when he was here, way back when. I was talking to them the other day, and his wife was talking about, like, to this day, 30 years later, 35 years later, how much the school meant to her, and how much she liked exactly what you said, how much it was always been a sense of community. It is a community school. Most of if you're in French immersion, you may come from outside of Boundary. Most of our kids are community students, but they've gone to school together since kindergarten, and they've kind of like gone through the feeder schools into here. So I just think, you know, it's a good place to be overall. And I think we provide lots of opportunity, whether it's academic opportunity, whether it's clubs, sports, whatever it is. I think we provide lots of opportunity here. And we were talking about it last week. One of the new teachers here said she didn't realize how much stuff, extra stuff there is for kids that do here. She had said she was at other schools, there was hardly anything. And even during COVID, as difficult as it's been and as tired as students are, as tired as the teachers are, as tired as everyone is, we've been managed to offer everyone here a good opportunity to participate in extracurricular activities in school. And I just really like it. I love coming to work every day. I've been here 5 years, so sometimes they try to move principals in the 5 to 7 year range, but I keep telling them I don't want to move. I want to stay here. I would like to stay here the rest of my career if I could. To be honest with you, that's kind of like my goal. We'll see if that works out that way.
I'll rally behind you.
And so I just really kind of love it here, and I love everything about the place. And I feel really kind of fortunate that I've been able to come back here, and I really feel good about it. I feel very fortunate, and I just really feel like, over the next, episodes of our podcast we can like talk about all kinds of things, but I really feel like this place, I was meant to be at this place.
Wow. So I guess for the first episode of Fridays with Freier, we have a love letter to BCSS.
Okay, thank you.
But you want to end it there?
Well, I mean, the other thing I would just like to say is, one of the things that, I really like is the amount of, one thing I really like about this place is I have 2 doors to my office. And when I got here, they had the principal's desk in the same spot forever. So I moved it closer to where I could see out the door. And one of the things I really kind of like I hear is students come in all the time just to kind of either say hi, complain about something, or give me a suggestion of what they'd like to see in the school. I really feel like that kind of helps you stay connected to the day-to-day kind of like interests and needs of the staff or students who come in through that door, just to kind of like talk to me for a few minutes. And like, I'd like to be able to kind of, expand on that a little bit in some of the future episodes going forward. But I really feel like, I want people to feel comfortable coming to talk to myself or anyone in the office, because I think that's where we kind of can hear concerns, hear the positives, hear the things that are going well, things that aren't going too well, and we can able to kind of build on that to make this place even better than it is. There's so many people that love this school, and there's so many teachers that have been here for a long time. There's so many teachers that go to other schools, but they come back here. So it's really kind of makes me feel good with the amount of people that really are vested in making this place a great place for everyone to be every day.
Yeah, my social science teachers, they say that they're practically like family, that they've all been together here for going on like 20 years.
And even last week was a good example. We had the OSSLT last week, and it's a very cumbersome, time-consuming, enormous amount of work to administer this test, and it was doing it in a totally different way for the first time, and staff just pulled together here. They just pulled together to support each other, to help each other, and it just made it really kind of a seamless activity. And when I have visitors come to the school, every single visitor who comes to the school will go out of their way, come to my office and say, your kids are just so polite. They open the door, they give direction, they'll take people to rooms they have to be in, and it just kind of makes me feel good, and I just really kind of think this is just a good place to be.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about having students feel comfortable, at this school, the staff and you especially, they don't really feel like big, looming authoritative figures, It feels like people that you can really approach if you have an issue, and, people who are really just trying to facilitate your success and, really hear what you have to say or like see your concerns. So
my kind of mindset is I've already graduated high school, right? So as long as it's realistic, we like to kind of give students and staff an opportunity to do what they want to do to make things better for everyone who's here. And, high school goes fast. And you're in grade 12, you said, this year, and you've been online for a long time. And you feel like you missed out on some things. And it's a little bit unfair. Unfortunately, it is what it is. COVID's bigger than all of us. But I just feel like if we can continue to kind of listen to students and provide opportunities for things they want to see, then they'll leave high school with good memories, and they'll leave high school. So in 10 years from now or 20 years from now, when you come back for a reunion, you'll be able to talk about things with the people you haven't seen in a long time. And you'll bring back some of the memories of your time here, because high school is a time like no other in anyone's life. The changes in your life from 14 to when you're 18 are that are so great. There's no other time in your life where you go through that kind of change in that short period of time. Right? Yes, I know you get people leave high school, they go to school, they get married, they do other things, but that change is so massive between grade 9 and grade 12 that we want to make sure everyone who comes here just really enjoys the time here.
Yes, speak to it. I lost a lot of my time to COVID, and then even just going past COVID, I think a lot of it was just not taking any initiative to really, do anything or like integrate myself in like any academic route I wanted to go in, or in any community activities. But like in my brief time at BCSS, I feel like I've made a lot of that back. Like I feel like a lot of the opportunities that I skipped and a lot of the things that I lost out on, I feel like I've finally gotten them back by being here.
Yeah, that's good. That's what we want you to. That's how we want you to feel. We want you to feel like there's opportunity here and you can get some of that time back. And there's only 6 weeks left for grade 12s, and I know some of them are really anxious and nervous. So we're pretty happy that we're going to be able to offer a grad breakfast, the prom, a carnival, some of those kind of events that they can. The grade 12s. I know you weren't here until grade 11. The grade 12s this year, the last time we did a carnival was they were in grade 9, so they missed out 3 years of grade 10 and 11 years of carnival. So we're going to have the carnival again this year, and so we're just really very confident we're going to be able to make some memories. Last week was a busy week here at the school. We had so many activities last week. It was like COVID was not even happening. From tournaments to fundraisers to charity events to sports events to whatever it was last week was probably the busiest week since before COVID in this school. And it was just like awesome to see the enthusiasm and just to see the energy of the kids in the school. And I've seen a lot of kids had their masks off last week. It's been a long time since we've seen that many kids smile for such a long period of time. So really good about that. Really happy with that.
I mean, everything's just falling into place,
Hope so. I look forward to sharing things in this podcast as we go forward. And anyone has any topics or anything they want me to specifically address, they can reach out to you.
Yes.
And and you can kind of like take those topics in, and we'll talk about anything that's a reasonable topic.
Yeah. I also had a plan to, go around and talk to the teachers and the students and, just collect a few things. I think it was Mr. Patterson that wanted me to talk about you graduating from BCSS. And I think because by like the way, especially by the way some of the teachers talked about it, it almost sounded like it was a secret. So I was kind of excited to hear you talk about that.
No, it's not a secret. I mean, you can always tell any kid who comes to the office, they ask me, and I said, well, if you want to find out for sure if I went here, you got to find my picture on the graduation picture on the wall. So, and it's up there. It's up there in one of the 80s pictures. I give you that hint. You have to find it after that. But no, I did go here, and we have actually quite a few teachers who went here as well, right? Ms. Kennefic was a student here, and there's a few others. And I said, so, I mean, that kind of says something when people kind of come home to where that all started for them. And I know even my buddies that I still hang around with, they ask me all the time what it's like, and they always say it must be pretty exciting. And so I think overall, it is like no secret. It's just like something that I'm very proud of. And I probably have a bigger vested interest in this school than any school I've ever been at. When I worked at Fletcher's, that was a great place for a different reason, because it was a brand new school and you had to kind of build that sense of community in your community, because we didn't have that, because kids came when Fletcher's Meadow opened. We had grade 9, 10, and 11, and those 3 grades came from 3 different schools. The grade 9s came from their feeder schools in grade 8. The grade 10s came from Heart Lake, and the grade 11s came from Helen Brathwaite. So they didn't know each other. So it was a bit rough that first a little bit to get that sense of community. Once we did it, we made it into a great school. You said your brother liked it. So, we have the history here. Bram Centennial's been here since 1967, and one of the things we're trying to get started is kind of a Hall of Fame here of like past graduates and the things they've accomplished. And we had one here last week, Orlando Bowen, speaking to the students. So we got lots of ideas for the school, and like I said, I have a very big vested interest in this school, and we're going to try to continue to improve it and make it better.
Yeah, I'm trying to get on the Alumni Hall of Fame in the next couple of years.
Okay,
yeah,
that's good to know.
I have my face on like a big mural.
All right.
In the cafeteria.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, well, that concludes the first episode of Fridays with Freier. You want to say it too?
Yeah, Fridays with Freier. So tune in each week, okay, on BCSS Media Club on our podcast, and you can learn and listen to everything going on at Bram Centennial. And if you have any topics, let Ashleigh know, and we'll be sure to address those topics in our podcast.
Okay. See you next week.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.